So the problem we see with traditional office space is that, well, it's in the word, right, traditional. The long lease commitment is just, it doesn't make financial sense for a lot of early stage startups and SMEs. And at the same time, they're not furnished, right? So when you're an early stage company, you don't want to bother with like having to buy furniture, right? Or, set up broadband and pay management fees and things like that, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have co-working spaces, highly versatile options that you go in, you start working right away. But then, what the feedback we've been getting from a lot of our users that while co-working spaces are awesome for some companies, it's not really that great for, say, companies in the service industries when they have to talk on the phone a lot, right? It's very noisy. It tends to be very noisy in co-working spaces. And they tend to be a bit on the expensive side, right? Just for your reference, the per desk monthly rental for a co-working space in the CBD area, say central Shenyang, can be upwards of $5,000. But the listings on our platform, the shared office space, they're roughly around anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 with an average of $3,000. First and foremost, just the office rents here are just astronomical, right? That was the number one reason. That and just that space is so limited, and it's very densely populated, right? So the lack of space, the expensive space, that was a no-brainer. That's why we decided to start in Hong Kong. And also the booming kind of startup ecosystem, right? And the number of SMEs in Hong Kong, I believe, latest figures, there's over 300,000 SMEs in Hong Kong with over 2,000 new companies being incorporated every single week. So that's not a small number. And I think we kind of did a survey just to, we literally walked around different neighborhoods to look at all these office buildings, right? And there are a lot of vacant offices, right? I don't mean vacant in the sense that if you look at government figures, for example, right, they'll tell you the vacancy rates, right? But those are actually entire units that have been vacated, right? We're talking about just idle space, right? Any given unit, office unit, you walk in and it's rarely all utilized, right? There's always going to be an empty desk. There's always going to be an empty room. We recognize that there's the issue of subletting, right? These aren't professional landlords. How do they protect their rights, right? How do they deal with each other? We're actually about to roll out a standardized licensing agreement. So it's a legal contract that we're providing for our users. It's prepared by a law firm, vetted, stamped of approval given by a law firm, right? And it's a licensing agreement, not a lease agreement. So the legality-wise, we're able to protect the rights of both parties without creating a sublease sort of arrangement. But the key thing is to record, each person's obligations, right? When you pay rent, right? How long is this, how long is this rental gonna be for? And then we're gonna roll out basically an e-signing feature, so they'll be able to generate the contract on our platform, sign it, and save it as a record-keeping thing on our platform. And this this saves a lot of time and hassle on the part of our users because they're not professionals. They don't want to have to ask a lawyer to draft a document. They don't know anything about leases and stuff like that. We're also going to help with rental management, collecting rent. That's also a huge hassle for a lot of our users. They don't want to have to be chasing down rent every month. So we're actually going to incentivize people to pay through our platform. And then at the end of every month, we will actually then just take the rent that we collect from the end user and pay we call them the first tenant. To be honest, I think it's good and bad, right? There's no easy answer to this. The pros, I think it just means a very active business community, right? There's a lot of people love setting up setting up businesses in Hong Kong precisely because there's so much like MNC, so much activity happening here. Although traditionally it's been finance, right? You see kind of people branching out into different things. So overall, right, it's good for the economy. I think it's good. A lot of, especially B2B startups, B2B SMEs, right? They tend to love being in Hong Kong because of these large corporates. They can sell to them or they can partner with them. So that's good. And I think the challenge though would be, you know, how do we, like, what is the market size for us, right, for Quikspaces as a platform? Because we're dealing fundamentally with sublets, like smaller office space. Like, perhaps one day, you know, we could be dealing with larger floor plates, larger office space. But right now, that's still dominated by, like, the brokers, right? You look at JLL or Colliers or CBRE, right? They're the ones doing the placements for the big offices, right? Like triple grade A buildings. But the encouraging thing about that is that actually this whole having vacant space or idle space, this issue exists for even big corporates. I mean, there are a number of large banks that have had to like basically find someone else to take over their lease midway through their commitment.